All right, so the question is, are MIDI drums starting to go extinct? Now, I'm gonna be honest, if you were to have asked me this 5 years ago, I would have told you that you were nuts. But recently, especially within the last year, I don't know. I'm starting to think there might be something to this. Now, within this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I've been experiencing both as a studio owner and as a content creator. So with that being said, let's dive into it. All right, so what's weird is we live in a time where tools like MIDI drums are better than ever and more realistic sounding than ever, and there are more options available than ever. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I personally love MIDI drums. I actually can't live without them. I use them all the time with my own music. I use them when I'm doing pre-production with bands and when I'm recording demos. And for years and years and years, over a decade, well over a decade, I've been using them in final projects. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm definitely seeing a shift happen. I started noticing it maybe around 2020, 2021, but I'm really seeing it now. It's too hard to ignore. And that's why I've decided to make this video, because I find it very fascinating. So let's start off with some of the things that I've been seeing as a studio owner. Now, I have a studio website where clients can contact me for a quote, and the requests that I've been getting are a little different. Actually, very different than the ones that I was getting 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And here's example number one. I've been getting requests from bands that are very young, that are not tech savvy at all. Now, I find this really interesting because typically the younger generations, at least as history has played out, tend to be more tech savvy than older folks like me. And what I've been finding is a lot of the local younger bands in my area, even a lot of the ones that I've worked with within the last few years, have absolutely 0% interest in anything computer related as far as production is concerned, but especially MIDI related. For the longest time, I would work with bands that would do pre-production within a program called Guitar Pro. They would export their MIDI and give it to me, and I would have their entire song mapped out. A lot of times we would actually use the MIDI from their Guitar Pro files for the drums, because for a long time, I wasn't even recording a lot of live drums. A lot of the bands didn't even care to, especially when Gent was really popular. But now I'm seeing the complete opposite. I mean, literally the complete opposite. A lot of these younger bands, no pre-production, 0% interest in MIDI or anything that's really techie. They just come in and want to record. So I have to do all the pre-production, map out the tempos, and I'm not complaining. I actually really enjoy this process. But again, it's the antithesis of what I mentioned earlier when all these gent bands were very popular. I remember back then, at least one person in the band was sort of like a techie home studio kind of person, and that's completely gone. Again, I thought at this point it would be the complete opposite, that people would become more and more informed and MIDI would be becoming more and more popular and eventually everybody would just be recording themselves, but that's certainly not the case. Now, another thing that's really surprising that I've been getting a lot when people will request a quote from my studio is people requesting live off the floor recordings. And again, even weirder, a lot of the younger bands are requesting this. I'm gonna be honest, for the longest time, no one even mentioned this. Bands would come in, half the guys didn't even know the songs, and now people wanna come in and perform live and capture their recordings in that capacity, which I actually really enjoy. As a matter of fact, there's a member in my private Mixcrypt community that does this exclusively out of his own studio. I love it. I love doing live recording, so I'm certainly not complaining. I think this is a great thing. But for years and years and years, it seemed like things were going in the opposite direction, where things were getting more and more processed and more fake. And now a lot of the up and coming bands want to record live. Very shocking. Specifically this year, I've gotten that a lot of times. Again, the complete opposite of drum programming. Now, the other thing that I've been receiving request-wise from bands are bands that do their own pre-production. They are tech savvy. They program all of their drums, yet they have absolutely no interest in using the MIDI from their pre-production in the final recording that I'd be doing. Let me explain this. For a long time, especially if there's a band that might be on a budget, for a while people would just opt to program the drums because it's cheaper, it's faster. You don't have to teach your drummer. So some of these bands would ask me to just use the MIDI, maybe fix it up, use my own sounds, just so they could save a little bit of money. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, when I even mention this to bands, it's like I'm spreading the plague or something like that. Like, nobody wants to do that anymore. Literally every band within the last 2 to 3 years when I mentioned that idea are like, no, we're not doing that. We want to record live drums, even if it costs twice as much money. Yet again, super interesting because that was certainly not the case for the longest time. It's almost like the attitude is like, yeah, MIDI is like, no, we want to record live drums. It seems to be that people in bands really want their drummers on the recordings. Go figure. And this is something that's important more than ever. Pretty interesting. Now that's my studio business. Let's talk about the content creation side of things, because I also do that. I've had this YouTube audience for a solid 5 or 6 years, and I'm constantly interacting with my audience through email or YouTube comments, and even inside of my coaching program and private community. And I've seen a drastic shift in this capacity as well. So one phenomenon that's been happening, especially over the last year, is I've been getting hit up by dozens, literally dozens. It's actually kind of overwhelming, of up and coming drum MIDI software plugin companies. A lot of them I haven't really heard of, and it's never ending. Every 5 seconds there's a new one. I actually cannot keep up with the emails. But what's interesting is that there's a huge uptick in software coming out, but less and less of my viewers are asking about the latest and greatest software. Now this is why this is interesting to me. For the longest time, every time TuneTrack came out with a new, I don't know, sample pack, or Get Good Drums came out with something new, or any other popular MIDI drum software at the time, I would get a huge influx of people asking about the latest and greatest sample packs, or drum software, or plugin company. And I'm gonna be honest, that's pretty much dried up. Again, it's kind of flipped. There are more companies than ever, but at least my audience seem to be less interested than ever. This year versus 2020 are like night and day. The second thing, which actually I don't think is really a good thing, but I'll explain, is people in my YouTube comments, even on older videos, seem to have a general snobby attitude about programmed drums. To the point where people are calling me out saying that I'm using programmed drums on drum tracks that are completely natural. It's almost like people are looking to knock programmed drums out of nowhere. Really weird. Now, I think this is kind of dumb because programmed drums are amazing. Again, I use them myself. Some people don't have the option of recording live drums. Maybe they're not in a band, maybe they don't know a drummer, but I've definitely felt a general negative kind of vibe coming from a lot of people, more than there used to be, about programming drums. And I see it in my YouTube comments all the time, to the point where people are calling out live drums that are sometimes completely natural with no samples and saying those are programmed drums. It's like they're trying to catch me and doing something bad. Now, the third thing that's been happening recently that's a huge contrast to my earlier days as a content creator is more and more people, especially recently, have been asking me about drum microphones, or actually microphones in general. And more importantly, drum recording techniques. Now, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Back in the day, 4 years ago, if I did a video on recording drums, or if I talked about microphones, it would be crickets. Nobody gave a crap, at least in my audience. But if I did a video on the latest Easy Drummer thing, or a video on how to program your drums, the videos would do pretty well. And now it's at the very least starting to kind of even out. Actually, one of my most popular videos is me recording drums in this crappy garage. So this might be my audience changing, it could be, but I don't know. When I add all of the other elements together, it seems like there's definitely a shift taking place in the general music sphere. All right, so the next question is, and I ask myself this a lot, why is this happening? Well, I have 3 theories here, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this and if you agree with these theories. Theory number 1, people are just sick and tired of fake everything in our culture. Fake lips, fake music, everyone using the exact same sounds, the same sample packs, the same guitar tones. People are just sick of it. I know, honestly, I'm kind of sick of it, and I love these tools. And we're at a point now where home recording has existed for 20 years in this current capacity, and I think it's kind of getting a little old. That's number 1. The second thing, and this is huge as of late, is we are also seeing the significant rise of AI. Now, I don't know where you stand on AI. Some days I'm a fan, other days I'm not a fan, but now we have programs that just spit out music like it's nothing. Literally, it takes 0% effort. You don't even need to learn how to play an instrument anymore. It's pretty much commonplace now. People know this exists, and I think it's a huge turnoff for a lot of music fans. And I think because of this, more than ever, people are valuing authenticity. It's sort of becoming the new hot thing, being authentic, being real. And what's funny about this is I think this is actually happening even if it's just on a subconscious level. We all know that you can just program whatever you want in your house. We all know that AI could just spit out a song like that. And because of this, we're craving the real thing, both as artists and as listeners. Now again, I want to make this crystal clear because there seems to be no nuance on the internet. I'm not saying I hate MIDI drums. Again, I personally can't live without them. I use them all of the time. But I also record real drums, and I love recording drums, and I love working with real musicians and working with drummers. I love both, and I do both. The reason why I decided to make this video is because it's something that I've definitely been taking note of over the last few years, specifically this year, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Have you been noticing the same thing taking place? Or do you think I'm a yo-yo? Let me know your thoughts on this topic by leaving a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to know what you're thinking and what you've been experiencing. Now I'm gonna let you in on a secret. It doesn't matter if you're using MIDI drums, live drums, real amps, amp sims. What matters is that you understand the mixing process and production as a whole, and that you stop focusing on things that are just a waste of your time. Now, I want you producing better results with the gear that you're currently using, so because of this, I'm offering you direct access for absolutely free right now to my free training, 4 dead simple ways to massively improve your recordings and mixes. In this free training, you'll learn my #1 technique for prepping heavy guitar tracks that virtually mix themselves. You'll also learn how to create instantaneous clarity within your mix using any old stock EQ plugin. Finally, learn how to take control over the levels in your mix so that instruments stop fighting with one another. And you'll also learn how to craft radio-ready vocal mixes using only stock plugins. Now, full disclosure, if you're one of these people that's constantly scrolling through TikTok and you have the attention span of a squirrel, do yourself a favor and don't register for the training. The training is meant for people who are serious about audio production like I am. And if this is you, you can click the link below and have access right now. Now, maybe you're one of these people that's kind of getting sick of MIDI drums yourself, and maybe you're interested in capturing album quality drum tracks in your house. If this is you, check out this video. In the video, I share with you in detail how I captured album quality drum tracks in a crappy garage using very inexpensive equipment. It can be done. You just have to know how. And until next time, drink that Rippin' Roasters.